being militant about your schedule. Think about that one. Being militant about your schedule. This came up the other day in a training. We had a couple great agents join me on stage at our training center. And one of them's more experienced, been at it 7 years, last 2 years with us. Business has really grown substantially. The other one's new. Got licensed last August, has already closed 5 sales and has 6 sales pending. Got licensed last August, so coming up on a year. Agent is off to an amazing start, still balancing the previous job, doing that part-time and winding that down. Anthony Lamacchia here with Crush It in Real Estate, and I'm here to talk to you from the beautiful Fort Lauderdale Beach, right here, where our event will be on Friday, August 27th. We're having a Crush It in Real Estate event right here at the Fort Lauderdale Beach, Marriott Harbor Beach Resort. Have to make sure to say the name perfectly because there's a few Marriotts here. So we're fired up for our event. It's going to be awesome. But let me get back to being militant about the schedule. So we're doing this training, and people are asking questions, agents are asking questions, and I'm handing the mic over to these agents, and all of a sudden this agent, Christina, blurts out, well, you have to be militant about your schedule. And I was like, whoa, I love that. I love the sound of that. And, it sounds dramatic. And to some people, they might be like, well, that's a little aggressive. That's a little tough. Yeah, well, you want to get ahead. That's what you have to do. And it brought me back to my early days in the business, thinking about how I balanced working with my dad and transitioning over to real estate. And I used to go down the yard every morning and see the guys at 6 o'clock, get them out for the day by 8, check a few jobs, and then, run home, change, shower, go out and show homes. And I did that for about a year and a half. And, I look ahead. Okay, that's when I was making the transition. But I look ahead to now, and, to me, my schedule is normal, right? Get up early every day. I always make sure I get a head start on everybody else. I just have to, or I don't feel right. It's just the way I do it. But what she was talking about, which is probably more relatable to more of you, I know we have mostly an agent audience, is Mondays and Wednesdays is the day she doesn't have the other job. So that's the days that she dials. Without fail, she's dialing every single Monday and Wednesday, making sure to follow up with prospects. She's booking appointments. She's following up and keeping her appointments warm so that they show up, and doing all of those little things that are necessary to have a successful appointment, and then to transition a client. This is someone that's brand new. So I wanted to talk about that because it just struck me so much. I mean, it's such a simple statement. Be militant about your schedule. It's such a simple statement, but so few do it. Think about it. How many people get up at the same time every day, dial leads every day, have a very specific schedule for when they meet with people and when they don't? And, she talked about that because when she's at this other job, which won't last long with this many properties going on, but that's okay. We've all been there. I transitioned back in the day. When she's at this other job, it's impossible to have these meetings. So what does she do? She schedules them accordingly, right? And she made a comment. She says, well, Anthony, you always say we're the doctor, they're the patient. That's right. When you act desperate to clients and you bow down to any time they want to meet, you want to be accommodating, but when you overdo it, it just smells like you're not busy and not that successful, right? They can just smell it, and you come off as desperate. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to mention that saying to you all because in my eyes, that's a very important choice of words. It's a small amount of words, being militant about your schedule. But it's important because if more people did it and more people obsessed about being very strict with their calendar, more people would be successful. And you look at the last year, there's been a very hard time to sell real estate if you're working primarily with buyers. And that's what this agent's doing. It's an agent who's, I had to switch arms. It's an agent who is newer in the business, right? And we all know the truth is when you're newer in the business, you tend to work more with buyers. It's just the way it goes. But she's making it happen. And you know what's going to happen to her? Within a year, she'll be getting these buyers back as listings, helping them move up. She'll let the previous job go, and her business will be booming. And everybody will say, Oh, what does she do? Does she have some special formula? There must be, maybe she knows Anthony. Or, which she doesn't. I've met her 3 times in my life. The other day was the 3rd. Maybe she has a connection. Maybe she's getting special leads. People will make excuses instead of just saying, wow, she's successful. I'm going to do what she does. I'm going to copy the leader. I'm going to copy the successful person. And you know, that's such a simple thing to do. Copy success, but so few do it. Because so few actually just say, all right, that makes sense. It's working. I'm just going to do that. I remember back in the early days when I used to go to conferences, and I would go and I'd come home with pages of notes. I still have notes on yellow pad paper from my, good morning, from a Craig Proctor conference in Palm Desert, California in 2005, November of 2005. I still have the notes. And I remember coming home and saying, okay, I'm going to do this right away. I'm going to do that right away. I'm going to do, that one, that's a tall order. I'll give that a couple months. But I came home with action items. And I took action. And when people ask me, you know, what do you think you do different than everybody else? I make shit happen. That's the number one thing I do. It's the number one thing I do. You know, that's what I do. And I think about this conference that we're going to have here, right? This can be a one day. I don't even know if you want to call it a conference. It's a training day. It's an event day. It'll be awesome. It'll be fun. In the morning, we're going to have a listing workshop with probably the best listing converter I've ever seen, who's our vice president of sales, Dave, and he's going to talk about converting a listing. Lindsay Favaza, who handles all our marketing for all our companies, especially Crushing in Real Estate, she's going to be going over, you know, marketing yourself and Facebook and giving more insider tips, more than what she gives on here. We got to be careful what we give on here, right? And then at the same time, because that'll be more for agents, I'm going to be running a mastermind with broker owners and team leaders, probably an hour and a half, round table type discussion. I'm bringing in some members of our leadership team, and we're going to let our broker owner and team leader customers ask all the questions they want. How do we run it? How's the operations set up? You know, what's our sales process? All those different things. I'm going to walk down closer to the water, and we're going to go over that. Then we're going to have a lunch break, and then kick off the real session. You know, the morning is kind of like the bonus content, but the full-fledged sessions will kick off in the afternoon. Brian Miranda from Miranda Real Estate out in Albany, he's going to be the MC. And he'll be there and he'll get us fired up. We're going to kick off with a speech from his brother, a whole session, probably 45 minutes to an hour, on working by referral, working your sphere, and, you know, how to build your business so that you get people constantly and continuously referring you. And he's great at it. And he talks a lot about database. And I'd say I'm good at it, at teaching it. I'm doing it every week now. He's great. He's the next level above me when it comes to that. And then we're going to have an awesome panel. We're going to have 4 realtors at different levels. We're doing that on purpose because we know that a lot of the people who are attending, I mean, we're going to have people that are 1 year in the business. We're going to have people that are 30 years in the business. So we're going to have a panel with 4 different agents. One of them started in the business a year and a half ago. She sold 48 homes up in Ottawa in her first year. Chelsea Hamry. Girl kicks ass. And she's going to talk about what she does. I'll tell you one thing I see her doing. A lot of video. But they've been on our training for about a year, and she just eats it up, and she's a conversion machine. Then we're going to have a guy by the name of AJ Bruce, who's at my company, out in our Central Mass location. And the guy's great. He's got a huge sphere of influence, knows everybody, and does a great job staying in touch with people. And he's going to talk about how he's grown his business dramatically. The guy only started 5 years ago. He's been in our President's Club 3 times. He's a machine. So he'll be there. Then we have another agent, Christine Serafini out of New York, sold 85 homes last year. Think about that one, 85 homes. But here's what's interesting. Been in the business 20 years, but business didn't really take off till year 15 when she made some key changes to her business, some very specific things that she changed in her business, and her business took off. Now she's selling 85 homes a year. She used to sell 20 a year. She's going to be here sharing. Awesome agent, awesome person. Then we have my friend from New Jersey, Gerard Matera, who's built a team. And the guy kicks ass. Great guy. He loves coming down to Fort Lauderdale. Part of the reason he built the team, so he could, have more time. And he's going to talk about that team transition. He's going to talk about how the first time he built the team, he kind of ran into some snags. And then the second time, he got it right. And now he's got some great team members. So he's going to share about that. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to spend about an hour and a half talking about all different kinds of things. Conversion, converting buyers, converting sellers, the market. What is going on in the market? I mean, what a bizarre year we're having, right? I knew very seasoned, smart agents in the winter who literally thought the market was just going to stay low inventory with 30 offers per property forever. And people get caught up in it. And I'm going to go over that. I'm going to break down some statistics of what's going on with homes listed for sale, pendings, etc. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, hasn't it? It's like everybody went on vacation. After July 4th, things seemed to fall off a cliff and then pick back up, right? Always picks back up. It can only stay slow for so long. What I find is when it gets real slow, it's about 3 weeks is the max. And this was a different kind of slow because it was more, whoa, I'm going to end up in the water. Look at this. This was more vacation and things like that. It was driven that way. So we're going to deal with a little bit of a different market here till the end of the year where you got to be real with your sellers. You got to make sure your sellers don't get out of control because, a seller will never miss an opportunity to overdo their greed. They just won't. It's inherently in their DNA. They can't help themselves but to overdo their greed. And they do it a lot and they screw themselves and they end up selling for less. So it's your job as the realtor. And I want to say this loud and clear, particularly to the people that have been in the business 3 or 4 years. It is your job as the realtor to advise them and guide them correctly. Okay? That's important. I had a couple of trainings with some training customers, one in San Diego, one in Colorado, a couple of weeks ago. And in both sets of circumstances, agents raised their hands and said, I've got some listings that aren't selling. I don't know what to do. What do you think? Why aren't they selling? And I laughed. I couldn't help it. And I said to both of them in both cases, let me guess, you've been in the business less than 3 years. And they said, yeah. I said, you got a listing that hasn't sold in 20 days? 10 years ago, that was nothing. You didn't expect to sell it in 50 days, unless you priced it very aggressively. So there are changes that we are facing. And I'm going to break those kinds of things down to get everyone ready for what's to come. And then ready for what's to come when we go into next winter. Will inventory be as low? Will it be as bad? How will you handle it? What can you do preemptively and proactively to make sure that you are prepared? I'm getting sand in my damn sneakers. Running back and those ain't gonna be fun. What can you do to make sure that you're more prepared going into this winter than you were last? What can you do differently? Because I think a lot of agents got blindsided. And a lot of agents just couldn't believe it. Well, I got news for you. It's going to happen again next winter. But it's going to be a little different. And I'm going to break down how and why and all that. And then we're going to have a cocktail thing. And it'll be fun. So if you haven't already looked into our event, log on to crushitin.re.com. Right there on the homepage, you'll see on the slider, August 27th event. No cost. We're not charging people. We're doing it anyway for our realtors. We're going to allow about 150-ish. It depends on COVID, but it looks like somewhere between 150, 200 in the room. So once we max out, we max out. We want our South Florida friends to come, our South Florida realtors to come, and then I've heard we got about 60 realtors from up north coming from our company, and then I heard 5 or 10 from other companies that are flying down. So that's the deal, my friends. I got to run back. I just walked too long and was on this video longer than I expected. Got to get back. Have a good day, everybody.